Welcome to tonight's all candidates meeting. We have a position that is going to come as a by-election for a position that will be in place for a few months until May. We have 5 participants that have been nominated. We have Tony Mack, Melanie Bingham, Donna Dixon, Marnie Sellars, and Joanne Phillips. So we have a full agenda tonight. First off, we're going to ask the candidates to have an opening remark. They have 2 minutes each to state their position, why they want to be elected. And then we're going to go through a list of questions that are being provided by the community members through what we've gotten already from some community members, but also through live stream. So I'll be running back and forth, although you won't see that on the camera. And then the candidates will have 3 minutes to close today. One thing that, being respectful out of obviously rules and COVID rules, we're positioned well apart from each other. A couple times that we've done this, we have passed the mic back and forth. That is not the case. So when the minutes are up for the candidate who's speaking, I will be turning them off. So just to let everybody know that there's a solid set time for their answers to the questions. So with that, I'm going to ask Marnie if she wants to start with her 2-minute opening remark.
Okay. I was renominated for a position that I was let go of removal from office wrongfully. So, and the way it was handled and the way things were done was totally uncalled and unfair for. So there are people in the community and stuff like that who still believes that I was doing my duties with council, and you know, with COVID going on and that, there were some things going on. Over the past 1.5 years, I have taken, I'm looking after my 2 grandchildren and my niece. So, you know, there are times when I'm not able to make it. I wasn't able to make it to meetings, and so, you know, things got difficult at times, but I'd always tried phoning in, or I had, you know, emailed in or whatever it was, responded. So I'd been on council for over 7 years, and I felt that I was doing my duties and continued to do my duties, but the way things were handled, I felt were wrong. So, you know, with what happened, I'm still able to run again for the position. There are other things going on, so yeah, that's about all I can say right now in regards to it, other than, you know, I've always done my duties for council and continue to do so. I'm an active member in the community, listen to people, look for fairness and transparency, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Marnie. Joanne?
Hello everyone. My name is Joanne Phillips. I'm daughter of Ralph and Minnie Phillips. My grandparents are Gabriel and Laura Phillips, and my grandparents, my maternal grandparents are Patrick and Anastasia Chelsea. I was raised in Springhouse and then settled in Soda Creek. I've raised 6 children to value the education and know the importance of hard work. I have worked at Gibraltar Mine for the past 9 years and started as a Hatfield Development Corporation reclamation contractor, and I'm employed by the mine as an environmental water technician. I am interested in running for council because I want to bring a sense of community back to Soda Creek, like what we had back in the day. I have an extensive knowledge of inner workings of the community. Growing up, I sat on many meeting tables and seen my father's aunts and uncles and cousins speak to the needs of the community. I've also participated in many initiatives myself, including housing, education, health, and running the Khatuz Heritage Village for years. As a volunteer member of committees that have been a benefit to the community in many ways, I sat as a member of the Bingo Committee, which was represented by elders, youth, and adults, and allowed us to work together to establish criteria, policy protocols for elders and youth. This allowed us all to work together to establish and maintain the BC gaming license and the development of our community-based health plan. As a housing committee volunteer, we were able to eliminate $240K worth of housing arrears and move forward with the development of new housing. Okay.
Hi everybody, my name is Melanie Bingham. I am the daughter to Karen Sellars and Stephen Bingham. My grandparents were the late Herman Sellars and Bernice Michelle. My paternal grandparents were Thomas Bingham and Sandra Bingham. I have been away from the community for many years. I recently just moved back. I was approached by a few community members to run for council, to bring my experiences from living abroad as an urban member. I think my experience in working in the Indigenous tourism industry for the last 11 years will bring some great insights to the position if given the opportunity. I worked in business development for the last 11 years, and I am very passionate about the community even from afar, and would like to see the success of the community moving forward in becoming self-governing and self-sustaining. Yeah, I just look forward to learning a lot, and hopefully, given the opportunity, I can be a voice for the people who may not feel they have a voice.
Thank you, Melanie. Donna?
Hello, everybody. My name is Donna Dixon. I come from the Michelle family. My parents are Barbara Dixon, Philip Dixon. My grandparents are Beatrice and Doug Dixon. My grandparents are Norman and Louisa Michelle. I am currently an at-home mom. I'm raising my four nieces and nephews, ages 2, 6, 7, and 8. That's what's been keeping me busy over the last 3 years now. I come to the table as a previous counselor as well as chief, and I'm hoping that experience will help move me forward in this position. I first want to start off as well by acknowledging the community members who nominated me to be in the position. It's always a great feeling to know that your community members have confidence in your abilities to move forward in an important position like this. I'd also like to acknowledge the other candidates that are here tonight. I think that there is a great selection sitting here at the table. I think all of the candidates bring different experiences to the table, and I'm always proud to see our community step up in leadership within our community. I think some of the things that I feel are important in this position of counselor is looking at the communication in this new age of COVID-19 and how we communicate and stay transparent within our community. I feel like a lot of that communication has suffered. I'm interested in child and family and also the governance and policy development. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to move into our questions. Reminder to the candidates that you have a minute, which isn't very long. We will be starting on one end, and then each of you are going to have an opportunity to start the questions off. So the first question, and I'm going to get Joanne to start. How have you helped our community in the past 12 months?
In the past 12 months, with COVID and everything, it's kind of hard, but I've worked for the community up at Gibraltar. My job entails the aspect of water, environmental, and yeah, just making sure that they're doing stuff correctly. And also in the past 12 months, I attend meetings that I can, if I can show up, because we're not allowed to go to a lot of the meetings. Everything's virtual now, so yeah.
Thanks, Joanne. Same question to you, Melanie. And please, if anybody needs me to repeat the question, I can really do that.
I mean, I just recently moved back to the community 2 months ago to today. So I guess indirectly, I've helped the community through my position with the Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada, in the sense that we actually help promote the Heritage Village to the world, essentially. And we also assist in business development with grants and training or anything that pertains to the Heritage Village that they are eligible to apply for, we will assist with.
Thank you. Donna?
I think in the last 12 months, as Joanne said, it's been really difficult with COVID-19 and not having the ability to physically be participating in the community. However, I have volunteered actually for the last several years to run the Sun Run program that focuses on physical health, mental health, traditional health. We have had anywhere from 10 members all the way up to 27 participants at one time. I've participated in the Citizens Assembly, some of the child and family discussions, and really I just stay up to date by contacting the departments directly if I have any questions or issues. So I've tried to keep on top of as much as I can in this new age.
Thank you. Marnie?
For the past 12 months, it's been, like being on council and stuff like that, and with like actively participating in meetings, attending functions that were going on before COVID, and then just, I don't even know, helping families out, helping community members and stuff like that. I've held a position in Williams Lake. I work for the Canadian Mental Health Association with the Housing First program. It's providing any information that people are needing. I guess it's not limiting myself to information that I have. I'm always willing to share everything that I'm learning. And yeah, just you know, trying to be a part of things outside of the community also that kind of speak up for our community and for just for activities outside of out of Williams Lake, and that's it. So okay, sorry.
Can I just remind everybody to please speak into the microphones as much as you can?
All right, our second question, we're going to start with Melanie. How do you think you're going to help the current council?
I mean, just being a new voice to council, I guess kind of a outsider's perspective in the sense that I haven't been in the community for 13 years. but still watching from afar and, staying as in the loop as I can. I just think new perspective and new insights would be a good help.
Thank you. Donna?
I think I can help support the council that's in place now just by bringing some of my experience to the table. I have knowledge on some of the political aspects of the national, provincial, local, as well as community levels. I've participated in policy development, which I think could be helpful to the council. I'm very transparent. I think that my new experience working with child and family could be helpful to the council. I think as well, I've always said that in my previous positions as council as chief is that as long as I have the opportunity to have my say and put my ideas forward and have them considered, that whatever decision is made, that I would move forward and support the decisions coming from that table. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Marnie?
Helping with the current council, being on there is, I'm always, I was always giving ideas and stuff like that, and just kind of what could be a little bit better, and always remembering that, we need to be transparent with the community members, and also being fair with everybody. If we're going to do for one, we do for all. It's not about treating everyone differently, because we need to remember that things have gone on in the past and everything, and that if we're going to be, it's not new ways and everything. There are ways that have been done in the past and everything like that, and we have to remember that everything is not reinventing the wheel. It's and if things need to be changed, it should be brought back to the community saying that. So, just bringing the policies and whatever else back and reminding that things need to be brought back to the community to be moving forward.
Thank you. Joanne?
How I plan on helping the current council is to be able to sit and listen and hear both sides of the story and then decide. It seems like there's a lot of bickering and whatnot, so it's I just want to be ears, more or less, and I want to learn a lot. I want to give them what I know and provide them some assistance, and just I think we have to work as a team to get through this, and yeah, that's how I plan.
Thank you. I would like to send greetings to Tony, who's just joined us. Tony, you have 1 minute for this question. And the question was, how will you help the current council?
I think the best way that I can help Chief and Council is putting a stop to the crossing of the line of implementation. And what I'm talking about is the governance piece of Chief and Council. Basically, the line of implementation in a governance structure, particularly Soda Creek Indian Band, is being crossed various times and multiple times over the period of the years. So what I bring to the table is putting a stop to that, where Chief and Council solely put their focus on leadership of the people and stop crossing the line of implementation in attempt to manage an organization, which is the job of the band administrator. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Just a quick reminder, we're actually going to probably pull the plug up. We can't get your attention. So everybody has equal timings. We'll try and keep yeah, we'll have a quick reminder to everyone. All right, so we're going to start this question with Donna. What is your experience with reading financial statements? Do you know what OSR stands for? And what questions would you have for improving the band's financial standing? So it's a three-part.
Can you repeat that?
Yep. Or how familiar are you with reading financial statements? Can you tell us what OSR stands for? And what questions would you have for improving the band's financial standing?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have experience reading financial statements. I'm actually a certified bookkeeper. It's not the area that I focus my attention, but I do have that experience reading financial statements. OSR is own source revenue, which I think is an important part of our community. It's something that keeps us in a position of making our own decisions financially and moving forward in other areas and topping up programs and that sort of thing. And sorry, what was the last improving?
What questions?
The last part?
Yeah. What questions would you have for improving the band's financial standing?
Well, I think that our financial standing is quite impressive to date. I think that just keeping up on the work that we're doing and making sure that we're getting the best out of proponents that are coming through our territory and just focusing and ensuring that those dollars are put to good use.
Thank you. All right, Tony, I'll reread the question because it's three-part. How well do you understand financial statements? What does OSR stand for? And what questions would you have for improving the band's financial standing?
My ability to read financial statements on a scale of 1 to 10 are probably 7. OSR stands for own source revenue. I believe Donna Dixon answered that one for me. Thank you, Donna. My ability to increase the financial strength of Hatsul. There's a lot of measures we need to put in place that control and, if not, seek a piece of the pie of our natural resources. That's our major, if not dominant, generator of revenue, both in the province and in the country of Canada and in the province of British Columbia. Hatsul needs to push harder and demand more from what we're currently receiving now. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony. Marnie?
Reading financial statements, we do that at budget time and stuff like that, and we do it at meetings that come up. We do it at community meetings also, when finance is asking that. So I understand those. Own source revenue, yes. Financial standing, how to improve the band's financial standing is getting the community's input. We seem to kind of go year by year or changes and stuff. We need to get the input again from the community. They're like the 5-10-year plans and that. I do feel that all the departments need to have better planning and know that the community stands behind what is being done and being prepared for understanding what's going to be coming to us, not after it's already happened.
Thank you. Joanne?
My experience with financial statements. Okay. I can read them, like their numbers and whatnot, but do I understand them? Probably if somebody walked me through it. Own source revenue, everybody said. And what was the last part?
What questions would you have for improving the band's financial standing?
From my understanding, we're doing pretty good. I'm not concerned about our money like before. I know we were in the red before, but okay. As far as I know now, we're on level playing field. And I do think we do get money from outside, so that's all I have.
Thank you, Joanne. Sorry for the feedback in the sound system. That's a bit distracting. Melanie.
I'm fairly familiar with reading financial statements, working for nonprofit organizations. The budgets are shared fairly openly with all staff and through the department as well as the organization as a whole. As everybody else stated, OSR stands for Own Source Revenue. The only question I would have about the community's financial standing is what plans are in place for the future in becoming self-governing and self-sustaining.
Thank you. All right. The next question, I'm going to start with you, Tony. Do you believe a requirement of this position is maintaining sobriety and role modeling for community healthy living?
Absolutely. When you're in a position of leadership, it was shared with me that as a leader, you're always being watched. And as a leader, you're always a role model. It's a 24/7 position. So I certainly support that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Marnie?
Sorry, could you repeat it, Chrissy? It's requirement for this position to have sobriety and...
Yeah, is maintaining sobriety and role modeling for community healthy living.
Yes, it is. Sobriety, there's, there's different meanings to it. Like a lot of people they can socialize and yet still perform their duties. A lot of successful people do it not. So it all depends on exactly what you're asking for. Role modeling is everything that, when you work for the band and that you are representing Hatsul. So I believe that is part of this position and what is expected. And then the other part was,
Just the role modeling for community healthy living.
Yeah, because it is, it's not only healthy for yourself and everything, but it's healthy for the community members to see that.
Joanne.
I don't see it that way. I don't see sobriety being a part of this. I can go out and have a couple drinks and go home. I do. I don't have a problem with it. Nobody sees it. I'm not falling down drunk on the streets. I ain't displaying myself out there like that, so I don't see it being a problem. And I can be a leader from Monday to Friday. Council ain't the weekend job as far as I know, but people might see it different. I practice, I do cultural stuff, but I know that I have to abstain from alcohol 4 days prior. I know the cultural and spiritual walk of life, and I practice it, so, and I don't do alcohol while I'm doing it, so.
Thank you. Melanie.
I guess in my opinion, sobriety doesn't equal role modeling. Role models are just role models who live balanced lives and healthy lives. And, when you're in the public eye or doing your job or, expected to be somewhere, be the face of your community or your family, you just show up and be the best person that you're supposed to be.
Thank you. Donna.
I think for myself, I see role modeling as a more holistic approach. I think that if you have issues with addiction, then we should absolutely be supporting sobriety for people who have that as part of their background. I feel like that being in this position is more than just sobriety. I believe that there's a mental health part of that. I think there's a physical aspect of that. I think that it's, like I said, a more holistic approach. Sobriety absolutely allows you to participate in a meaningful way, but I think each person is an individual, and I support individuals.
Thank you very much. And thank you everybody for sticking within your time period. My next question goes to Marnie to start, and it is, what is your personal process for decision making?
For me, I want to be able to have all the information brought forth in that, and it is the transparency in that, and ensuring that, you know, everything's on the table, we all understand it, and I'm not just going to say yes just because everyone else is. I'm a person who wants to see what is there, what you know, if there's been meetings before through departments, what community members think and stuff like that, and if we're not prepared for it and everything, to bring it to the community for further input.
Joanne, do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
My process for decision making would be, I think, based on what's best for the community. What the community has a 10-year plan. What's in that plan, and that's the direction we should be going. So that would be my answer to that.
Thank you. Melanie?
My personal process, I'm a reader and a thinker. I like to go over all the information and process it fairly. I, of course, have my own opinions, but in moments like this, obviously my opinion isn't what matters, it's what's fair for the community as a whole, and being transparent in what I think and the decisions that I make.
Thank you. Donna?
I think my process for decision making starts with just listening and hearing what's being proposed, either researching or hearing what research has already been done, asking those questions, things like, has this been done before? Is there information out there, things or tools that we can use so we're not reinventing the wheel? I would be asking, has it gone through the appropriate process? Has it gone to community? Does it need to go through a more thorough process before those decisions are made? And I just feel like we've had many people come into our community and make decisions because they feel they know what's best for us. And I think that we just need to ensure that we are making decisions with our community for what's best for us. Thank you.
Tony?
Well, first of all, if it's my decision to make, I can make the decision. But if the decision involves other parties, they must as well be included. I mean, I don't want to be held responsible for making a decision for a group of people that's over there that I had no right in making that decision. I don't want to take anybody's rights away nor impose, I guess, my decision onto them. And for that group being discussed or used as an example, suffer the impacts of my decision because I hadn't sought out their opinions or their feedback or their input on my decision, that, you know, that it's to consult with the people that the decision affects. It's absolutely key.
All right, our next question, Joanne, you're going to start. How do you see sustainable community development? What does that look like to you?
To me, sustainable community development is being able to get the community come back in one place. There's so many divisions in this community nowadays that we need to all be able to work together. We need to be able to go to somebody's house and get their opinion and develop things as a holistic community, all together, working together towards one goal.
Thank you. Melanie?
Sustainable community development, in my opinion, is having plans in place for the future, and those plans need to include how we get youth educated and trained so that they will work in jobs for the community to ensure the sustainability of it, and the businesses that get put in place need to be such that community members want to work for them, and as well as bring the economic sustainability as well.
Thank you. Donna?
Sustainable community development is, oh my God, it just makes my head go. It's huge. It includes everything. Transparency, our numbers, our financial processes, our communication, how we communicate with our community, how are we utilizing our social development to ensure our health and lifting up our people to move ourselves forward. How does the treaty process tie into all of this? How are our urban numbers included in all of that? How are we utilizing our natural resources? I mean, sustainable community development includes every aspect of our community, including our administration and how our council works together. So 1 minute is not long enough to answer that question. It includes everything. Thank you.
It's a big one. Tony?
For some reason, this sustainable community development brought my memory to bringing my trash to the garbage dump once a week. It's my responsibility to haul my own trash to the dump. I do not depend on others to haul my trash to the dump. And I don't know how this story is going to relate to the question, but what I want to say is that sometimes more than others, we take the shortest route possible and the easiest route possible for the quickest and fastest reward. But if we as a people, as a nation, start taking more difficult paths and more challenging paths, that we can start to see and receive bigger rewards than we've ever seen. Because all we know is taking the shortest, the cheapest, the freest way.
Thank you. Marnie?
For me, I think it's we need to start with our own community and our own members, and it's building up our community for, going further. It's making sure that everybody is a part of what's going on. For far too long, I've seen at our community meetings and stuff like that, it's our members that speak up in regards to jobs and trainings and things like that they want. And we talk about funding and it's not in the budget and stuff like that, and it's up to us. It's up to the community, it's up to the members and that to be saying what they want, to change that and everything, and planning for the future in regards to how it goes. If our policies aren't working with us, then we change it also, so it works for everybody, so we're all moving forward together.
Thank you. All right, we started with Joanne. Next question goes to Melanie. What would you do if you see a council member interfering with the day-to-day operations of Soda Creek in the event.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What would you do if you see a council member interfering with the day-to-day work for the Soda Creek in the event?
Well, I guess I would refer to whatever policy is in place to guide me on what steps need to be taken to ensure that that council member is either in the right or the wrong, and then bring it to the proper chain of command of how that needs to be dealt with.
Donna?
I think I would probably have a discussion with them. We have policies in place that have been many ratified by community, and unfortunately this is happening. We see it, we hear it from community, we hear it from other council members, we hear it from staff, that it's going on, and it needs to be brought to the attention of council, be discussed openly, and let that council person know that they need to refer administrative processes to the experts. That's why we have people in place to deal with those situations. So I think I would first start by talking with them and letting them know what the process is and referring to those policies. And then if it continues, I would be bringing it up at a council meeting openly.
Thank you. Tony?
You heard me earlier speak about governance and the line of implementation. The scenario that you described there is crossing the line of implementation. That's a chief or council member or a board of directors crossing the line of implementation down below to the employees of an organization. That's a no-no in governance. That's why you hear the phrase saying, separate business from politics. You can't have chief and council going below the line of implementation to tell the actual staff members how to do their job. Chief and council, as our leaders representing the people, are there to lift the people up, not to tell them what to do. Not in a style of a dictatorship type way, or your work should be done better. That's just an absolute no-no. It will not promote positive growth.
Thank you. Marnie?
Like Donna says, I would talk to the person, and if that doesn't work and everything like that, it's one-on-one at first, and then afterwards it's something that would go back to the council as a whole, because there are lines that can't be crossed in that, and it's the way that everybody kind of understands, like the org chart of it or whatever. What are chief and council's duties? What is the band administrator supposed to do in that? And I think a lot of times, so many times, that's forgotten, and it's happened in our community and that. So it's a matter of training. It's not only training the council members and that, it's putting it out to the community and letting them know also, because it seems to be forgotten and nobody wants to say anything about it. So bring it up front.
Thank you. Joanne?
If I saw a council member interfering with band employees, I think you have to, bring it up to them, point out what they're doing wrong, and then from there, if they keep doing it, then it should have to be written up. And there's a process, there's a structure, there's policies in place, and that's the only way people are going to learn.
Thank you. All right, the next question is, if you were a current council member and the community wants to move in a way that you don't disagree with, what would you do? So if you were a current council member and the community wants to move forward in a way that you don't agree with, what would you do?
Is that me?
Yes, sorry, Donna. Yeah.
I have always said, my approach has always been, as long as I have the opportunity to provide my point of view, whether there's pros or cons to the situation, and it's been discussed and fully discussed with all of the aspects of the whatever to move forward, I'm not going to fight against my community. I just want to be sure that all of the issues have been brought to the table and that that decision is based on the facts, based on everything that's been brought to the table, and then go from there. I would then want to see how I can help move that idea forward in the best interest of all of our community members. I think that's why we're here, is to bring all aspects to the table. So that's how I would move forward.
Thank you. Tony, would you like me to repeat the question?
Like, I would have to agree to disagree. A big part of it would be acceptance, because it's really the whole community's decision, not just one individual. So to think realistically, as a whole community, as 400 plus people, a council member is going to have to get used to and conditioned in decisions being made against that individual's favor. I mean, it's foreseen, it will happen. But in order to be a great leader, is able to accept some losses and also to make some wins. So, I mean, looking at it holistically, my answer would be acceptance.
Thank you, Tony. Marnie.
It is. It's the community, like all the community members having a say in regards to what we're moving forward with. It's ensuring that everyone understands it, and there's, it's not just discussed at one meeting and, the choice is made or whatever. The community members need to be aware of what's on the agenda for meetings and that, so they can attend, so they can fully participate, because too many times you hear that, I didn't even know that was going on, didn't know it was on the table or anything. We all need to pay attention to what's going on for our community and what's happening, and it's not that I would disagree with it, it's just I want to ensure that everything is out there, everything is on the table and that, and if the community is moving forward with that and that's the choice that's made, I would do that as long as information is fully out there.
Thank you. Joanne.
That sounds like it's community driven, and that's what we're here for. But as long, and like everybody's saying around the table, if they're informed and they know what they're deciding to do, then, there's 400 people out there that want to do this, and one person can't stand up and say, no, that's not going to happen. You have to, I'm here for the community members. I'm here to try and better things, and I'm not going to hold them back.
Thank you. Melanie.
I think it's bound to happen. There's always going to be decisions that are made that people don't always agree with, but it's not about my personal opinion and what I want. It's about the community and what the community wants, and as long as all the information is there and decisions are being made fairly and well thought out, then my personal opinion shouldn't matter.
Thank you. Just a quick comment to the individuals watching live. If you have questions that you want to submit, put them into the comment section, and we'll get to them after the questions that we have here. We do have some extra time tonight, so I'm hoping to get a few from the audience, which is kind of interesting being that we're here all by ourselves. But our next question, we are going to go to Tony. What will you do to better support and make education a priority and see students become leaders.
I'd like to give each and every one of our families a voice. We almost had it there with the family steering committee. We almost had something going on there where each family had a voice. I'd like to see our whole community come together with each spokesperson for our families, and together as a group decide as a whole for that particular school year who we're going to send off to college, off to university, off to trade school. Now we have to identify students of variety. We don't want to just choose the youngest students, or let's blend the students to adults, from brand new high school graduates to adults that are unemployed. We have to make a plan where we set targets and we hit those targets with educated people, and we have to support them financially with our own source revenue and other agreement dollars we have. We need to use that money to support our children by investing in them to increase their education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marnie?
This question is, you know, we've talked about how we support our students and stuff like that, education department. I feel that we don't do enough for our students. We don't recognize enough. We don't put things out there into the community and stuff like that about how well students are doing. We need to support the students that are going to, you know, elementary, high school, college, university and stuff like that. Be aware of what's going on. You know, we send students to, you know, we send our members to school to go and graduate, to get their degree, their, you know, all of that stuff. Yet when they come back to the community and they want to work and everything, we start them off at minimum wage. You know, it's looking at our members. We're wanting them to be here. Let's support them more.
Thank you. Joanne?
You want the youth to be leaders as part of the question I heard. For that to start, you have to start with the youth group. You have to start them and ask them what they want. They have to have the voice. They have to be involved. If they're not involved, they're not going to participate. You have to design it for them, and you can't make them do what you want them to. It's their choice. So.
Thank you.
I mean, being a student at one time myself and moving away from the community to get educated, it was tough. And, you know, you need to find out what the youth are passionate about to really keep them in school and wanting to learn more. And moving away to a new city and trying to live on the little bit of funding that you get. And then, you know, a lot of the times for myself, as an example, I found a career down there and I stuck with it, and I didn't move home for 13 years. Now that I'm home, I'm still working for that same career, but wanting to use my experience and my knowledge now to help my community grow. So it's just finding what the youth want to be passionate about and helping them reach those goals.
Thank you. Donna?
I think when we're talking about our youth becoming future leaders, I think one of the things that I would start with would just be their cultural pride and just being proud of who they are and where they come from. We hear all the time about the bullying and racism, and it's out there, it's there, and our students are dealing with it. Also, our students are in a new age. We need to ensure that we're keeping up with the times here in our own community to utilize the skills that our students are developing and provide some initiative for those new ideas that these students are learning to come back. I would also even say what are they coming back to? We often have career fairs for the mines or the mills or whatever, but we have our own self-governance coming to light here, and we need our students trained to come back home and fall into these jobs. So I think just getting them excited about the opportunities that are coming.
Thank you. All right, this is one from the audience. And we'll start with Marnie. What needs to be done at chief and council level to make it more transparent?
Agendas, you know, meetings are supposed to be open to community members and that, and it would be good if we're doing that for community members to know what's on the agenda and if, you know, there are any questions, because it's supposed to be, if they're there, they're at meetings to observe, and that chief and council are supposed to be, you know, kind of continuing on with the meeting and that. If people are knowing what's on the agenda or needing to be on the agenda and stuff like that, it's to be open for that and to hear what people have to say, and it's not being, you know, when it's discussed there or a decision is made, you know, when people come in and ask a question or whatever, it's kind of like a decision has been made. You know, it needs to be better than that. We need to be more open to the community members and what they're asking about.
Thank you. Joanne.
Transparency. I think, like it said, community meetings, going out and visiting people and, you know, getting there what they want kind of thing. Because chief and council is about the community. It should be based on the community members. It should be, you know, we should be there for the community, for the people of the community, and be transparent, you know. Yeah, let them come in and let them view what's going on, and if they have something to add to the agenda, they should be able to do that, you know. And there's stuff that they shouldn't hear, though. That's the closed part of the meeting. Like, there's no way around it. So yeah.
Melanie.
I mean, I agree with Marnie. I think agendas are important for community members to know what's being discussed, and if a decision has been made and questions are being asked, I mean, I think it's fair to, you know, be honest and open with community members. I mean, the decision's already been made, so it's not like you can go back on the decision. So being open and honest about what's going on is important.
Thank you. Donna?
I think we have processes in place, but we sometimes don't follow those processes or maybe even understand them. How to ensure that your chair is sticking to the agenda and getting through the items and knowing how to put a motion on the table and how to have a vote move forward, and to ensure that those meetings are efficient. I would also say utilizing technology in this day and age. I've just seen postings that the chief and council meetings are going to be done utilizing technology so that community can see what's going on. And I'd also say to have the chief and council support the administration in utilizing technology so that community is hearing about what's happening in the departments. I know for myself, I am craving information. I can make that phone call, but there's no way I can get all of that information.
Thank you. Tony?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yep. What needs to be done at the chief and council level to make it more transparent?
Chief and council, it's really important because they represent the membership. It's crucial that we know what chief and council are doing. months in advance. Meetings they're going to, meetings they're scheduled to go to, conferences, annual general meetings, things like Assembly of First Nations, things like, really important meetings like the First Nations Summit. What are being discussed at those meetings? What exactly are our leadership going to be talking about at those tables? And do they have the permissions from the membership to speak our message for us? Because they represent us. So if there's no transparency, it's a two-way street. If there's only one way, it ain't transparency.
Thank you, Tony. All right, Marnie?
I answered it.
You started. Sorry. I'm trying to read and catch up with the feed, and sometimes I get distracted. All right, so the next question, we're going to start with Joanne. How would you bring back a feeling of community, joy, and laughter instead of infighting?
Right now, with COVID going on, that's pretty hard. But yeah, how do you do that? I used to remember back in the day where we'd have just potlucks, and people would bring their favorite dish, and everybody'd be here laughing and having fun. I don't know what happened to that. I don't know where it went to the wayside. But that'd be something to see again if this COVID ever goes away. I know in my family we have dinners down at my mom and dad's still, and even with COVID going on, we stick to our own little bubble, and yeah, and we can hang out there for hours and just have fun. Like it's happening, but I don't know how you do it with COVID going on.
Thank you. Melanie?
I mean, in my opinion, I think it's going to have to come down to the youth and the next generations. I think a lot of the history between the families is old history. And honestly, some of the best times of my life were, community baseball games or football games in the winter, or, sliding days, and, there's definitely not enough of that anymore. I think families need to just start reaching out to each other and coming together, bringing their kids together, and just having these community events. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a formal community event. It just needs to be families reaching out to each other and, letting bygones be bygones and, moving forward.
Thank you. Donna?
I know, again, just with the time of COVID, it's so difficult to have that one-on-one and personal connection with people. We haven't had a dance in 9 months. We haven't had a feast in 9 months. We haven't had community meetings. We haven't had, all of those things are lost. But, I'm seeing other communities, and I think we, need to borrow some ideas. Like recently I'd seen a scavenger hunt, and it was for community members got a scavenger hunt, and it was for each family member to go and do different things within their family and to submit it for a prize. It was something that their family could come together and do, or come together in their bubble, and it's still sharing what other people are doing. And I think also taking a strong stand on gossip. It rips people apart, it rips our community apart, and it's still happening today. I think that supporting the administration to take a strong stand against that.
Thank you, Donna. Tony?
The three items that come to mind are, well, first of all, I like Joanne's idea about the food. Food brings people together. I certainly support that. And the first idea I had before Joanne had spoke was sports. I think sports is a crucial area that we need to relive, revisit, and relight. And the third item is absolutely crucial that all the rest take place. is apologies amongst each other. Because we're not going to move ahead with all these grudges we have against each other. If we want to have fun, our fights have to be over. In order to drop the puck and play hockey, we have to get through that. I've heard some dark stories of what our families have done to each other. And until we actually say sorry and shake hands, we cannot move forward.
Thanks, Tony. Marnie?
How to bring it back is more community involvement. And it's bringing the baseball games back, and it's bringing, building things for the youth and for the community members. Before a rink was talked about and everything, the PAC group, we worked hard towards fundraising towards that, and now there's no PAC group, Parent Advisory Committee, Council, whatever it is, but it's bringing that back. It's having the family involvement for the functions that go on. It's less having staff support the families and everything like that for functions that go on, but less expectation of staff doing it. It's our community. We want to have this stuff and everything. So it's having meetings for more fun things that go on for the departments. Sure, there's business that needs to be taken care of in these departments and everything, but it's everyone. Sorry.
Thanks, Marnie. All right. Our next question is, what can be done at chief and council level to be more supportive of off-reserve members? That's fitting. And Melanie to start.
Sorry, it was, what can be done at the chief and council?
What can be done at chief and council level to be more supportive to off-reserve members?
Well, I think off-reserve members are lacking resources and places to reach out to for needs within the cities, like ride sharing and support groups for families and children, and I think chief and council need to come up with some plans that can really help support those off-reserve members, because people move away and don't see, or start building a life for themselves away from the community, and they still want to feel that sense of community and feel that support. So I think just really needs to be looked at and what can be done to bring those resources to off-reserve members.
Thank you. Donna?
I think we saw some of that with off-reserve members when there was a lot of the notices going out into community where there was food hampers being offered, or meat packs, or things like that, and you would see messages coming in, what about the off-reserve members? And often our communities are offered funds or resources that are only applicable to on-reserve, and a lot of times our chief and council and administration have their hands tied. However, we do have our own source revenue, and we do have some of those resources that could be geared towards supporting our off-reserve members. I also think too, when you're going into a new city, to maybe do a little bit of research and find out what some of those urban resources are that they may not even be aware of. So I think just putting something together that is inclusive and include them in some of these technical aspects that we're putting out there now. Anybody can access for streaming live.
Thanks, Donna. Tony?
Well, first of all, I'm pretty straightforward how I would first like to identify all our people that are away from home and find out where they are located. And I'd like to find out what kind of needs they have, and if or if not they can afford those needs, and the rationale for those needs, basically, and for us as a nation to reach our arms down to wherever those off-reserve membership are located, that we reach them no matter what. That they're reached, we don't leave one out. It's so important that, you know, we reach each individual. Because if you've ever felt left out, and you've been left out before, you know what that feeling's like when the group over here is celebrating with, you know, beef and steaks coming in the mail, and you're over here been forgotten. That absolutely makes you cry because you've been forgotten. You're not part of the nation. You're hurt. You don't want to go back.
Thanks,
That's
Tony.
the trend that is in place right now, and we need to work extra hard to flip that pattern that's in place.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Marnie?
To be more supportive of off-reserve members and stuff like that is maybe setting up a budget. We talk about our own source revenue and everything like that when we're doing budgets and everything. We do one for the elders and everything, and there's a process and an application that's filled out for all the elders in our community and stuff. So I think why don't we do this for, you know, why don't we do it for off-reserve? It's just one idea. And another thing is, you know, we do think about off-reserve and that, but we need to think about them more, especially during times like Christmas and that, and the hampers and that. I feel bad. It's kind of like we give gift certificates and a hamper and that. And one of the things I've mentioned before is, you know, give hampers to on-reserve, maybe the gift certificates, send them to off-reserve. You know, it's something I brought up before, so.
Thank you. Joanne?
For off-reserve members, as chief and council, I think when you travel to a town that's close to them or whatever, you know, provide them with a phone call and tell them, hey, let's meet up and have a coffee. That goes a mile. Like, that goes a long ways. Just to have somebody come up and come to where you are and talk to you and let you know what's going on, and, you know, bringing them up to date, and, you know, just making them feel like they're involved, they're part of the group. And that's just a small step to start, and, you know, things will grow from there.
Thanks, Joanne. All right, this next question will start with Donna. With such a short term, what do you want to accomplish?
I think for me, I sort of said it in my opening, the biggest thing for me is transparency, and just ensuring that the policies that have been ratified by a community are being adhered to. That's what council, they're the policy developers, and they're supposed to be ensuring that you know, the administrator who is overseeing all of the staff are following those policies. If they're going outside, I would like to know why. I would be questioning that. It is a short term, but I feel like these last 9 months, the transparency has been a difficult thing to process, but being on the community side of things, it puts a lot of questions into your head and a lot of doubt, and I think that would be one of the main things that I would be looking at in the short term. 6 months isn't a long time.
Thanks, Donna. Tony?
I think the biggest focus I would have, if successful, is determining the position of HATSO. I would like to, first of all, get my foot in the door, you know, have the ability to look at all the information and report back to membership. Because as it stands now, there's probably a majority of our membership that don't know what's going on here. And that's what I want to bring to them. I want to study reports, analyze documents, the treaty especially in stage 5, looking at the land and the capital cash transfers. The amounts are devastating. If we accept that, we're doomed. I mean, there's so many other options available, but what I want to do is find our position and strengthen our position for moving forward.
Thank you. Marnie?
Same as everyone else, it's the transparency. And for me, like one thing that I've noticed is it's getting more information to the members, not only locally and by Facebook. You know, one thing that I've noticed is, you know, we post a lot of stuff on Facebook and the website and stuff like that, and we expect our members on reserve to know what's going on. Not everybody follows the band's Facebook page or anything. Posters work for a lot of members still. We don't do that. We keep it limited to kind of band only or whatnot. Maybe if families are having functions or, you know, or wanting information known and stuff like that, to allow things like that instead of having limitations. One thing I notice also is having portfolios for all of council instead of just the chief and stuff like that. It'll give council members a more sense of belonging on as part of chief and council.
Thank you. Joanne?
In 6 months, it's not very long, but I plan to plant my feet in there, and I want to be community driven. I want to be able to go out and see community members and, you know, just sit and talk to them and have a coffee and see what they want to hear, what they want to see, and hear what kind of direction they want to go in, and, you know, just get a feel for where the community wants to go, and learn.
Melanie?
For myself, I mean, really, I want to learn a lot. I want to immerse myself back into the community and really get a sense of how members are feeling about, you know, plans that are in place, and, you know, and honestly, in my opinion, I think some plans need to be updated from my readings coming into this nomination of getting myself, you know, educated on what's in place so far. I think there's a lot to be updated and brought up to, you know, 2020.
Thank you. All right. So we're going to have to come back to Tony. So we'll go to Marnie. As a council member, how would you ensure you work as a team in a unified way, especially when conflict arises?
Been through this so many times. I've been one to always, you know, I want all of the information and everything like that. There's conflict that arises because there were times that I didn't get all the information. We don't get everything from all the departments and that, so, you know, it's only a report that's presented at times, and there needs to be more. There needs to be more of that, and the full information brought forth in a report and everything, so everybody understands it, so there's less conflict in that, and I believe that's what would really lessen what's going on. And I'm one to talk about it in the council meetings, outside of the council meetings and that, and you know, at times it does become a conflict, but that's not what I'm looking for. I want to have understanding of it, the transparency part of it.
Thank you. Tony, I'll come back to you. I'll ask the question. As a council member, how would you ensure you work as a team in a unified way, especially when conflict arises?
Well, first of all, if we experience conflict or any difficulty in any way, whether it be personal or business, we're going to have to get through it together. The best way out is sometimes through. Now, it's creating that win-win situation, that mutual relationship. Because if we don't have that, then how are we supposed to have that synergy that a team needs? to act as one. You know, one takes a hit, we all take a hit. We have to have that mentality where we move in that fashion at all times. We can't have us running off over here thinking this is good for us, and the other running off over here thinking this is good for us, and just splitting our sticks and getting nothing done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving to Joanne.
For, how was it?
As a council member, how would you ensure you work as a team in a unified way, especially when conflict arises?
Well, if you want to win, I think you have to work as a team. If you want to be the one on the other side of the fence and you think the grass is greener over there, it's not going to work. I think a lot of it's bringing all the information to the table, making sure everybody's informed, and hopefully wanting to go the same direction. That's all I got.
Thank you, Joanne. Melanie?
I guess just being open-minded and understanding that everybody brings a different personality to the table and way of doing things, and their different ways of working, and working through things in their own way as well. So just really being open-minded and understanding of everybody's differences, and just trying to work together. Do your best to work with those different personalities, and that's all you can do, is do your best to ensure that you're not bringing the conflict to the table, and being open-minded and understanding.
Thank you. Donna?
I think for myself, I've always prided myself in being a mediator of sorts. How Tony was saying, to maybe come to that win-win situation, just hearing all sides so that, everybody feels like they're being heard. Again, I've said before, I feel like when I'm at a table and I feel like I've been heard and my opinion has been considered, even if the direction goes differently than what I think it should, it seems to work. Like, I feel like I've had my input and it's being put into the decision making. I think just being respectful of opposing opinions and trying to fit everybody's point of view in a decision. I don't think it needs to be one way or another. I always feel like that there's a way to incorporate everybody's ideas, maybe some more than others, but I always feel like there's a way to work things out.
Thank you. All right, our next question, and we'll start with Joanne. What is your commitment to the position, and will you be able to attend all meetings?
I work full-time right now, but before I even took the nomination, I assured with Gibraltar Mine that I'd be able to attend all meetings, and they're willing to work with me, so I don't believe there'll be a problem there.
Thank you. Melanie?
I'm fully committed to the position. I don't see it being an issue to not attend a meeting. I think I would be able to attend every meeting unless sick, and then I would obviously have to stay home. But yeah, I'm fully committed, and I'm excited for the opportunity to give them a chance.
Thank you. Donna?
Yes, I am able to attend all the meetings and make all the meetings, and if that wasn't a commitment I was able to make, I wouldn't be here. In saying that, though, I think one of the reasons that we are in this position, sitting here at a 6-month position, is because we have to recognize and be respectful that we have families out there, we have people who are working full-time. This is not a full-time position. You cannot support your family in this position, and being respectful. We talk about culture all the time. we need to support our families. We're raising our youth, we're raising our children. We need to ensure that that's being done in a respectful way. So honestly, I think if that had been done in the first place, we probably wouldn't be here. But I've made that commitment, and I was sure that I was able to do that before coming here. So thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Tony? Yeah. What is your commitment to this position, and will you be able to attend all meetings?
I have full commitment to a council position. I will be able to attend all meetings. And I have to say this on the mic, that I give my full support to the women in leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Marnie.
You know, the commitment to meetings, I've been on council for over 7 years and stuff like that. And this year, I've taken on looking after my grandchildren, looking after my niece, and there are times when I just could not attend some meetings. You know, things came up, I could not find a babysitter, you know, I made it on the phone, I had mentioned Zoom meetings for over a year, which I'm glad to see they've now started after I've been removed. But you know, I've always been committed to attending council meetings and that. You know, the position is up in May, and I was fully committed to doing that. I had a full-time job. I sat on a board for BC. I've been on council and stuff like that. My heart is with the community, so I am committed to it.
Thank you, Marnie. All right, our next question, we're going to start with Melanie. How would you ensure lateral violence is addressed? And the question was like all around, so within administration, chief and council, and the community, etc.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think lateral violence happens everywhere, and it's definitely a tough thing to address. Yeah, I mean, there's policies in place for a reason, and I think policies need to be followed. I think people need to be strong enough in their voice, feel strong enough with their voice to bring these things forward to the powers that be that that can help address these issues and make sure that it stops happening.
Donna?
I think for me, the biggest thing, it's harder to talk about lateral violence within the community itself. We don't always have, or not in the position to be involved in that process. I think within the organization itself, as mentioned before, we have policies in place, but more importantly, we have procedures. It's one thing to be looking at the policy, but if you don't move forward with the procedures and go through the steps to address that lateral violence, to bring people to the table, to talk things out, it gets out of hand, it gets away from you. Honestly, I really think that it's the procedure part that we're not following through with it's there in front of us. It needs to be followed. That's not necessarily a position that we're in, but we need to ensure that the policies that we support are being adhered to. I think that's so important.
Thank you. Tony?
It just makes me laugh. I mean, not in a disrespectful way, but how we operate under a program, under a system. We're oppressed. We're an oppressed people. Wouldn't you be angry? Wouldn't you be violent? Capitalism goes hand in hand with oppression and racism and violence. We are oppressed underneath the Trudeau thumb, underneath the Queen of England. We're oppressed. Lateral violence has a full tank of fuel. When we watch our lands get pillaged, we become violent. When we see our children get treated this way, then the children over here get treated, we get violent. We live in an oppressive world. We live on a reservation. None of that is changing in my eyes until we actually break ourselves free.
Thank you. Marnie?
Could you repeat it, please?
Yep. How would you ensure lateral violence is addressed? And the question spoke about the community, administration, chief and council, etc.
First of all, it's the lateral violence that it is going on. It does happen. And, you know, everybody says that we need to follow our policies and procedures and that, and, you know, they're in place, but let me tell you, they need to be updated because there's a lot of gray areas. And, you know, it's not only the band staff, it has to be the community involvement that happens with this. That there isn't really a process. It's talking to the band administrator or chief and council that there needs to be a way of writing it. There is, but it's not followed up on. So I think we need to update the way it is. Our policies and procedures are old, and we need to go through them again and to ensure that, you know, it's what makes everybody happy.
Thank you. Joanne?
Lateral violence. Yeah, I know there are policies there and there's procedures, and I think a lot of it is going to have to just come down to bringing them to the table. Bring them in front of chief and council. You know, deal with them as people. Don't just write a letter and say you're not allowed to come here. You know, deal with them as they're community members. Deal with them. You know, they're our own people. They're the reason we're here. So they just have to be dealt with as humans. That's all I got.
All right. Donna, the question is, what is your biggest strength that you bring to the table?
I think the biggest strength that I bring to the table is just being open-minded. I don't necessarily stay within the box. I think that there's opportunity to apply different ideas and think outside the box and do things differently. We tend to sort of stay and do the same things that we did the year before and the year before that, and you know, there's so many things happening out in the world that we could be participating in, and I see it in other communities, and I take pride in a lot of the work that other communities are doing, and I think that we can utilize a lot of the work that's already been laid out in front of us. But I think that just having that open mind and being open to everybody's ideas is a strength that I bring to the table.
Thank you.
I have many strengths I could bring to the table, that's one.
Tony?
I think probably out of all, I would like to say that I'm a visionary, that I would bring my gifts of visionary to the table for our people, seeing us into the future and going together with you. And the other strength I believe I would bring to the table is lack of fear. From our children attending dark schools and being told what to do and when to eat and when to sleep, I see those trends still alive today, and I would like to use my lack of fear to make the real changes that need to happen. And stop asking permission and start taking what is rightfully ours. Thank you.
Thank you. Marnie?
I believe that my biggest strength for, you know, council and stuff like that is I'm not afraid to bring things up. I speak my mind. I I don't try and do it in a to make it a conflict or anything like that, but you know, if I hear something from a community member, they don't feel comfortable bringing it forth or anything like that, I'm not afraid to speak up for that person. And if I'm hearing something, then I'll bring it up. If people aren't liking something, or if, you know, or even if they think it's a great thing that's going on, I want to be more supportive of that. So, you know, the community members it's being friendly and stuff like that, and it's helping out. I really enjoy helping all the families out that I can. It's, you know, in any way that I can. And it's being there for our members and try to do it off reserve, on reserve, whatever it may be. It's helping.
Thank you. Joanne?
For me, my biggest strength would be my commitment, my ability to get up and go to work every day, you know, that drive. I have that drive. I'm up at whatever time, go to work and work 9 hours, and I'm sitting here tonight. And yeah, usually I have an after work nap, but that didn't happen tonight, so, but I'm still here. Yeah, so it's been a long day.
Melanie?
I mean, my biggest strength, like Donna said, is being open-minded, and not just open-minded, but open. I mean, I'm always willing to listen to anybody and everybody and really listen, not just be smiling, nodding head, saying, yes, I hear you, but really taking in what people have to say and, you know, giving it some thought, listening to the people, and yeah, just really just being open.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge everybody really quickly before we do our closing remarks, in that it takes a lot to come here and sit in a format like this and not see any responses from the audience, whether or not you felt like you answered your question correctly. So this is a brave setting, and I just wanted to say that you've all shown true, honest, and beautiful respect for each other, and for us, obviously, because we're waving over here saying time. So you guys each will have 3 minutes to close, and we will start with Tony, and then after that, we will be signing off. So this is your time to do your closing remarks, and you've got 3 minutes.
Well, I think I can use this 3 minutes to basically tell all the members kind of my position. I try to make it quick as I can. I'm still living with my mom here in Deep Creek. She's taking care of her husband down in Campbell River. I'm working on my 4th year of sobriety from alcohol after a tragic loss of Shane Kobeck's drowning in the Fraser River. That set me back extensively, and I want to let you know that I'm still healing from that. Part of that healing includes hurt. And not only did I receive the hurt from the experience of the drowning of my brother-in-law and my father, I began to get lost in an addiction of alcohol. And it was the drowning of my brother-in-law that scared me straight. Many of you may still say I have a dry drunk syndrome. I'm a very angry man. I'm very upset with what I see around me and how my people are being treated. Physically, I'm very well. I'm in good shape. I've probably been in the best shape I've ever been. This is probably my 5th year cutting hay in the community and doing it myself, fixing it myself and getting it done by myself, but also benefiting myself. And it's all I know how to do is to fix things, repair things, and keep going. I'm sober. I feel alone. I miss our elders like I've never missed them before. I feel like there's no true men in our community anymore. They're all consumed by alcohol addiction or drugs. I feel like I'm this only man in this community by myself alone. I feel alone. And I also feel upset with my community because of how they handled me in a previous employment position at Hatfield Development Corporation. I believe myself to have a lot of skills and talents in this community, and I even went away to seek that education supported by my community. I come home to work for my community, now sober and scared straight, getting treated in a way that is unfair. I'm very upset with my community, and the reason why I sit here today is that so that will no longer ever happen to any other people in the future of this organization. I was paid to leave my job. The Development Corporation paid me $13,000 to walk away from my position. I was making as much money as the chief, $55,000 per year.
Thank you, Tony.
You can understand why I'm angry and why I sit here today to lead my people into the future.
Thank you. Marnie?
For me, I think it's, with what's gone on and everything like that, with me since COVID and since I've started taking care of my grandchildren and my niece and stuff like that, it's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of stress, and but it's, you know, it's a good kind of stress. I've always enjoyed being on council. Sure, there was hard times, but trying to work together with the other council members and with community and being there for the community and that, it's something that I did before I was on council, and it's something that I will continue to do. It doesn't matter what position I'm in, where I live. I'm from the Soda Creek Band, and I'm a member. I'll always be a member and stuff like that. So no matter what goes on, I'm here to help. I'm here to be committed to what happens, what our community goes through, whether it be like some of the questions that have happened, you know, if you don't agree or if you do agree and stuff like that. It's up to us to all be informed of what's going on and what's happened, and to ask questions, and, you know, to just to be here. You know, I'm upset about what happened with this process and stuff like that, and what's gone on and what led us to here. But, you know, I'm moving forward with it, and I just, you know, I've always been kind of a happy person and stuff like that, and kind of getting along with everybody and stuff. So it's still me and stuff like that. So I will, you know, and I'm glad, you know, like listening to everybody here tonight, and, you know, everybody did a great job and gave great answers and that, and I just hope that, you know, with some of the stuff that we've brought up here tonight and everything, it reaches the rest of the council table and they take that into consideration in regards to what's gone on. Our community feels like it's become too political, and that's why we don't really have any joy and laughter in our community anymore. So it would be great to see all things come together in that, and still work together and be closer like we used to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Marnie. Joanne?
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that was listening tonight. Yeah, there was a lot said here, and it was really good. I'd like to thank the other candidates, and yeah, in closing, I guess I'd like to say that I'm not for this side or that side. I want to get in there, and I want to see how this all rolls out, and I want to be part of the solution instead of being the person sitting back calling down people. I'd rather be part of a team. I want to see chief and council as a team. I don't want to see the divide. I don't want to see the divide amongst the community. I want that all to go away. I'm just tired of it. And my kids have grown up and they didn't see the divide, and but now there's kids that they played with are talking about a divide, and I'm like, so there just needs to be a lot of communication. We need to open up some lines here on this, and that's about all I gotta say.
Thank you, Joanne. Melanie?
I mean, for me, with my experience in the work that I do, working in business development, I have assisted and witnessed many communities across the country achieve their tourism goals, and it's a great passion of mine to witness this and be part of Indigenous communities succeeding. And this is something that I want to bring back to my community, my passion and my knowledge for seeing us succeed as a community. And I love my community. I love every family who belongs to this community. I want to see us all succeed together, and for ourselves, and for most importantly for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren to come. I mean, we're striving for self-governance and self-sustainability, and in my opinion, I think there's a lot that needs to be done still for me to feel secure in my children's future as part of this community. And I just want to be part of that success. I want to use my voice to, help bring this community forward and, listen to what the people have to say, and just use my voice to, bring success and greatness for our community, because I know we have it.
Thank you. Donna?
So I think what I really want to say is what I've taken away from this evening, and I think some of my takeaways from tonight is the knowledge that I've actually gotten just listening to the other candidates. I think for myself, I would be proud to have any one of us in that council position. I think the other thing I'd like to say is that listening to the questions coming from the community members to our table just goes to show how knowledgeable our community is, and that we need to utilize that we need those voices at the table so that we can move our community together as a whole and in a holistic kind of way. I've heard the concerns at the table, listening to Tony, listening to Marnie, Joanne, Melanie. They're all concerns that are coming to the table, and I have my own. And I think that, just listening to those, that I feel like I can see myself in a place to help address some of those things. I feel like that there's so many opportunities that our community has. I feel like we're in a financially sound position. We have good people working for our community. But I like what Tony said about, not being afraid to move forward and to bigger risks make for bigger payoffs. And I kind of like that idea. I feel like we sort of sit in a safe place far too often, and our community has the ability to move things forward farther. And before I sort of end, what I would like to sort of close with is just an acknowledgement to our community members who have lost loved ones. We've had meetings canceled. This week, we've lost George Keener. This last week, we lost my nephew, Braden Ignatius, and I'd like to acknowledge the families who are going through losses in our community. With COVID, even that has been affected, where we can't even come together and mourn our people. That has a huge impact. Tony spoke of that before. When you can't go through a process in a good way, it has huge impacts on how we move forward as individuals. So in closing, I just wanted to acknowledge the families who have gone through loss and thank them for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you. All right, in closing, again, I just want to acknowledge the bravery and your respectful spirits that sit here today, especially since last night was a full moon, so you never knew what kind of energies we were going to bring into the room. I want to thank you all for participating. I want to thank everybody that is streaming, that for your questions, your comments. They were respectful, they were beautiful. So this has been a great opportunity and process for Soda Creek, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Just a little housekeeping, reminder to put your masks on as you leave your table, and we'll call it a night. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.